In today's episode, we're giving a heads up on the recent bill that was approved in Congress. The official name is the 2025 Reconciliation Legislation, H.R. 1, but is often referred to as the OBBA or the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We'll refer to it as the OBBB. If you're curious about how this bill will impact you, especially as it impacts someone with student loans, keep listening because we're going to hit that portion and share some things that you could do in order to prepare. Tune in now. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to Wealth and Wisdom Together, the podcast that guides Christian women to financial fulfillment by walking boldly in your steward identity.
We're your hosts, Willa Williams and Wesley Eccles, founders of Trinity Financial Coaching and Sisters in Faith, here to help you align your money with your vision.
If you're a high-achieving woman earning well but still wondering, why don't I feel further along? You aren't the only one who feels that way. And we're here to remind you that your path to wealth is unique and spirit-led.
That's why each episode equips you to manage money confidently, live life purposefully, and build wealth intentionally without compromising what matters most.
Because you're listening or watching, you're already on the path. This podcast is here to help you keep going with faith, clarity, and real-life strategy.
So like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss another episode, any episode at all. We're on this journey together. Welcome back to Wealth and Wisdom Together. We're your hosts, Willa and Wesley, financial coaches and sisters in faith. Today, we're going to be diving, guys, into something that will impact many of you, many of us. The sweeping changes to student loan borrowing brought about by that One Big Beautiful Bill, or the OBBBA. You know, that act is nearly 900 pages, including 525 pages of tax-specific amendments. And it was signed into law by the president on July 4th. It makes many of the 2017 changes from the last Tax Cut and Jobs Act permanent. It also introduces new tax rules applicable both in the short term and in the long term. So it's a lot coming on the horizon. We just want to make you aware of it so we can get to looking at it and see how it's going to impact you, because it's gonna.
Right. I know that's right, Willa. And if you're someone who's in the thick of managing student loans, or maybe you're thinking ahead, like, what will this environment be like for your children's future education? This episode is going to be eye-opening. Yeah. Whether you're a current borrower or a future one, these changes will have a significant impact on how you approach debt, repayments, and your future financial goals. And there's so much to unpack here. And what I know for certain, but they say one thing's for certain, two things for sure. What I do know is that yesterday's student loans aren't today's student loans.
Yes.
I got my undergrad degree in 1993. I had student loans. Yes, there was a weight of having to repay them back, but I remember applying for forbearance, deferment. I remember doing all the things to push off paying it back until I could afford the payments, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I could afford, I consolidated. And then when I could afford the payments, we paid regularly. And then we earmarked some of our income tax returns to get it paid and get it paid off quickly. And I think we paid it off in about 7 years. So I graduated in 93. I probably started making consistent payments maybe around 95. And then like 2002. And I have my payoff letters, but I can't get to them right now where I am. But I'm going to look that up because I want to report. I do want to remember how long it took us to pay it off. But I think it was like 7 or 8 years. Anyway, we paid them off. Then I went to grad school. But I didn't have to borrow as much in grad school as I did in undergrad because I had a scholarship and and stuff. But still, I still had to borrow. I got my MBA in 2008, and we were able to pay those off way much quicker than we paid off the my undergrad. But today, like the amount of money that students are borrowing today
It's very different.
is very different.
Yeah.
I don't, well, that's a whole nother talk show about why and how college tuition got so expensive. And in my daughters, they did not have any student loans undergrad. So we did the MET program. So they didn't have any student loans undergrad. So the landscape that I'm seeing of student loans personally is really with grad school. But even then, that's a lot of money, and people just have a lot of student loan debt. And the stories that I'm seeing about, like, I saw one story where someone had a student loan. I think it was like $70,000. They had been paying on it for 15 years, and they still owed $70,000
Oh, come on, come on, come on.
because of how the interest was accruing.
Yeah.
And so it is a system that has kind of trapped some people. And some of I think the previous administration saw that trap, and they had some things in place with the income, with the IBR. So if you paid 10, 15, 25 years, depending on the plan, then you would get forgiveness. The public service forgiveness, those things were in place because obviously some people who work in public service weren't generating the amount of income that others would make. So they said, well, you know what, because you're doing this public service, we could forgive your loan. So there were some things that are coming into play to kind of help levelize the field for the student loans. But on the flip side, well, I do understand that like the student loan interest is one of the top generating revenue line items for the government.
You know, I listened to you as you help us understand how you went through and how you had student loans. When I graduated from undergrad, I graduated from undergrad in 91. I graduated from grad school in 94. I was working full time, so I was taking classes at a time. So what I would do to avoid student loan, I never had a student loan. What I did was I would go to the credit union and I would borrow whatever the cost of the tuition, and I would use my company's tuition refund. Between those two, I paid for all my classes. But what did that mean? That meant that I had to, where you would take 4 classes in one semester, it took me 2 years to take 4 classes because I could only take a few at a time. And then when I got to grad school, I began to notice how credit hours were going up. I mean, I graduated with my master's in 94. So early 90s, they start hitting the triple digits to go. I'm like, I ain't paying no open
$500 of credit.
So I'm not going to be paying
yeah.
this. So I pushed. I said, whatever I have to do, I am not paying it. So I pushed to get out of school. We tried to do that with my husband. That didn't work because with him, we didn't go and borrow money. We were trying to get it out of cash flow. So he was on an accelerated program. I'm like, oh, what? We got to pay like $3,000-$4,000 every 3-4 weeks. This is not going to work. So he ended up with the student loan. It just was the best financial decision for us. We ended up with it, and we did pay it off. And I can find his payoff letter because believe me, I wanted to make sure that we got that done. But you find yourself because you want the opportunity that's afforded to you for higher education.
Yeah.
You find yourself not able to pay for it out of cash flow. Everybody can't do that. We did it while I had tuition assistance at my job, but he even had tuition assistance from the same employer, but it still wasn't enough. We ended up for him with student loans. And after he had graduated, we were still trying to satisfy those loans, and we got it done. But it was a carry. It was a load.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
And it was easier then than it is now. Much easier than it is now. I think he had less than $10,000 of student loan, but of course it was an undergrad school, and he was only taking a couple classes at a time, and that was only for 2 or 3 classes. But now some of the individual classes exceed that amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing
Yeah.
what we're having to do. And now, yes, you're right about the previous administration and what they recognized and what they were trying to do to help.
Yeah.
But
So,
those things are done.
yeah. So, what we want to do today is make sure that you understand exactly how this will affect you and what action steps you could take now to prepare. Before we dive deeper, we do want to give a special shout out to the Certified Student Loan Professional Program, also referred to as CSLP, for the valuable insights that we're going to be sharing in today's episode. Now, the CSLP program offers professional education for financial advisors and coaches like us, especially for the ones who are specializing in student loan repayment forbearance and default. So, if you didn't know, there are financial professionals who specialize in making sure that people can and understand not only what type of student loans to get, but also the most effective repayment plan
For them.
for them, right? And so the their resources have been incredibly helpful for helping guide this conversation about the OBBB and its impact. So again, they're not a sponsor or anything. We just wanted to give credit where credit is due from where we're getting our resources and our references from. And we're also referring to the Institute for College Access and Success. That's another resource that has valuable information about some of those changes and how it's going to impact many Americans, many of us today. Just wanted to make sure that we give credit where credit is due.
Now, we know we want to concentrate today on student loans, but let's start with just an overview of the OBB. Now, it has passed. It is now the law. While some parts are not fully actionable yet, it makes many of the 2017 changes from the Tax Cut and Jobs Act permanent. It also adds some new tax rules, both short-term and long-term. One of the Tax Cut Job Act rules that remains includes the bigger standard deduction, no personal or dependent exemptions, and income tax rates. That may have impacted you over these last couple years as you were filing your taxes. Some of these new tax laws affect 2025 taxes. You know, taxes that will be filed by April 2026. That's this year. But most will start in 2026 or later. Now, the bill also adds temporary changes for some people, like limiting taxes on tips or limiting overtime pay taxes. But of course, our focus today is student loans. The changes that are coming will impact both current borrowers and future students. From a new $257,500 cap to $57,500 cap on federal student loans to loan limits for graduate students. This law will reshape the way people approach education funding for decades. That's yours, your kids, and perhaps your grandkids. This impact will be here. It's going to be here for a while. It's going to be here for a while.
Yeah. You know, one of the big changes is that the Graduate PLUS program will be eliminated by 2026.
Yeah.
So if you're planning to pursue graduate school, the loan limits are changing. For instance, graduate students will only be able to borrow up to $20,500 per year, and professional students are capped at $50,000 annually. So think about the person who wants to become a doctor, a lawyer, some of the disciplines or principles that require you to take school beyond, professional and graduate level, you won't be able to borrow as much in order to get that level of education.
Yeah. It's just really important to note that this law, it's imposing lifetime loan caps. We talked about that $257,500 for all federal loans, except the Parent Plus loans. So there are many exceptions, many little nuances
Mm-hmm.
in addressing student loans. So it's going to be really important that you get assistance with this or you really pay attention. And it isn't just setting limits, it's laying down the groundwork for a new era in student borrowing.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be brand new. It's not going to be the way it has been in the past. Now, for those who already have student loans, the big changes are around repayment plans. The bill eliminates some old plans and introduces new ones that you really need to be aware of. If you've been using an income based repayment plan, that's an IBR, or the Savings on a Valuable Education, that's the SAVE forbearance, things are about to change. Specifically for the SAVE plan, if your loan was in forbearance, the interest began to accrue on August the 1st, and you will begin to see your loan balances increase. It
Yes.
started back the beginning of August.
Right.
So check your loan balances, see what your increase has been since that time.
Yep. Borrowers on these plans will need to transition by 2028 into new repayment options. And some of you may find that the Repayment Assistance Plan, also being referred to as RAP, is the default option. What's concerning for many is that the new RAP plan comes with higher monthly payments.
Yeah, that's a huge shift,
Yeah.
especially for borrowers who are hoping for lower monthly payments.
Yes.
We know that for many, student loans have already felt like a heavy burden, and these changes will make them feel even more daunting.
Yeah.
Hey, can we pause for a moment? If you've been listening and thinking, I want to be more intentional with my money, but I'm not sure what my next step should be, we've created something just for you.
It's called Your First Step to Financial Fulfillment. And it's a free guided audio experience to help you align your money and mindset with clarity and confidence before you ever book a coaching session.
Inside, we walk you through powerful shifts, faith-led reflections, and the exact steps we guide our clients through when they're just starting out.
You'll walk away with a clearer picture of what's holding you back, where God may be leading you next, and how to finally take that next step without pressure, fear, or overwhelm.
This is the same clarity-focused tool we use inside our coaching program, and now we're giving it to you for free.
Tap the link in the show notes or visit www.mytfcoach.com/fulfillment starts here to get instant access, or click the link in our show notes.
Your financial journey deserves clarity, not confusion.
According to the Institute for College Access and Success, they're explaining it like this. The RAP plan departs radically from the core design tenets of the other income-based repayment plans. And the stark difference is that it's removing the income protection that all the prior plans have. That meant that it protected a certain amount of your income so that you could stay current on the loan payment while still having enough money to cover your basic needs. The RAP program scraps this approach. And instead, it bases your repayment on your gross income rather than your discretionary income. So your discretionary income is like the money you receive, less taxes, less a certain percentage that they consider cost of living, right? Your bills. Your gross income is just that, what you earn gross. So unlike all existing income-based plans, which required monthly payments only once a borrower's income is a certain amount above the federal poverty threshold, RAP will require payments from even those earning far below the poverty level. So the current poverty level right now for an individual is $15,000. Unfortunately, with this new rework of the IBRs or the income-based plans, many people are going to go into default. It's projected. Let me say that.
Yeah.
It's projected. So not to get all caught up in the wording of, discretionary income and the poverty level. And we know many of you that listen to us are not, your concern is not basically being at the poverty level.
Right.
But what we do want you to know is that there is no protection of income. So they're going to look at your growth. So when you first graduated from college, you may have been earning, I don't know, $50,000. Now you're earning 75. Maybe you're earning $100,000. Now your loan is going to be based off your gross salary, $100,000. And that's when how they're going to determine whether or not you can pay the loan back.
And the amount you pay.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Those are the major differences. So the Institute for College Access and Success also gives us they have a great, we're going to put this link in our show notes, but they also give us some graphs to show you what that looks like. And here's some information that I thought was real good.
Mm-hmm.
They said that so if they base the repayment based upon a borrower who's earning the median U.S. household income. So the median household income, adjusted gross income, is $81,000. If this is a family of 4 and they have 2 children, on the SAVE plan, they would have been paying $36 a month. On the new RAP plan, they'll be paying $440 a month.
Daunting. Yes.
Huge difference.
Yes.
Right? What if you're a middle income single parent with an associate's degree whose AGI is $49,500? You're married, you have 1 child. You would be paying $8 on the SAVE plan compared to $115 on the RAP plan.
It's a difference.
Now, this is a statistic that they said. A black borrower with a bachelor's degree, single. That's many of you, many of our listeners, professional, not sure I say many of our listeners, but many of our clients are single black women with bachelor's or degrees or higher, right? They base this on the AGI of $45,000. Well, in the SAVE plan, you would have been paying $41. In the RAP plan, you'd be looking at $150 a month. So you can see the vast difference. And they keep going. They give like 4 or 5 other scenarios. And like I said, we'll put the link in the show notes and you can read this article in full to understand more in depth of how this is going to affect you. The other big thing, Willa, we need to tell them is what they call the sneaky lifetime debt sentence.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
Right. So under the previous IBR plans, that forgiveness, like I mentioned earlier, ended at 15, 25 years. Mm-hmm. If you've been making loan payments consecutively for that long, then the balance was forgiven. Well, now that has been extended to 30 years. That's it. Like you have to have paid on that student loan for 30 years, like a mortgage, before they would consider forgiveness. So again, that just gives you a mindset check on how you might need to think about your approach as it relates to your student loans with all these changes that are taking effect.
Current student loans and new ones.
Yes. So again, that, like Willa mentioned, is a huge shift, but it's not all doom and gloom. We don't want you to feel that way. And there are some strategies that we know that you can implement now to minimize the impact of these changes. So don't wait until 2028 to decide what's best for you. And this is why we want to start opening up this conversation now so we can start talking to people individually so you can figure out the best way to approach this so that it's not overwhelming and it's not totally taking things away from all of the other goals that you have set for yourself.
Yeah, we want you to act now and just don't wait until 2028 when everything is rolled out, because it's still fluid. Things are changing. Now, If you're a parent planning for your children's education or a student about to borrow, you need to pay attention to the Parent Plus loan limits and new federal borrowing caps. These new limits are $20,000 per year per parent and $65,000 per student. This is far different from what was previously available. Now remember, the new limits are $20,000 per year per parent and $65,000 per student. So that's all you can borrow. Tuition is a bit more than that. So it's going to be a little more difficult for you. You're going to have to do some more strategic things in order to get that education. And for future graduate and professional students, the reality is that private loans will likely become a larger part of the equation. It's crucial to know that private loans come with higher interest rates, meaning more money in the long run. This could make pursuing an advanced degree far more expensive than it has been in the past. Everything is ending up being more expensive than it was in the past. So what can you do right now to prepare? All right. First, start getting clear on your financial goals, both short term and long term. Do you want to go back to school? Or are you helping your child pay for their student loans? Start researching all your options: federal loans, private loans. Never forget scholarships and never forget grants. Those are still out there. I'm sure it's going to be more people trying to go after them. So, be aggressive. Go after those things. You have a lot to think about right now with this new bill out there as a new law.
The second thing that we want you to do is we want you to build a budget that includes your loan repayment goals.
Yeah.
So for many of you, the road to financial fulfillment is a journey, and managing these changes early will help you avoid unnecessary stress in the future. So we gave you a date. We gave you a range, 2028. Now, again, if you chose save and it was approved or pending, you might not be paying that back right now because it's still tied up in court, but the interest is still accruing. You can start paying it back whenever you want to, but what we want you to do is figure out what that payment is. Add that into your budget. Two ways you can do that. If you don't have a lot of credit card debt or other debt, take that loan payment and just start putting that in your savings account. That's going to help boost up your savings account, but it's also going to build that muscle and that habit of having to pay that student loan back. And then you can already adjust your budget. So again, we're pre-planning. We still want you to spend according to your values. We still want you to make sure that you're hitting all your other bills and hitting your other financial goals, your investment goals, and your other savings goals. So this will help you, especially with the savings and investments goals, if you start just putting that money into your savings to build that muscle, right? Or if you have other debt, you could then take that student loan portion and start applying it to your debt. And whether you're using the snowball method, the avalanche, whatever. So if you're either using a method where you're paying the highest interest rate first, so let me be clear, so in case you don't know what those terms are, or if you're using the method where you're starting off paying the smallest balances first, take that student loan, apply it to those credit card payments, and get that debt out of the way, right? Because you're already saving somewhere else, and then you're already in the process of paying off this debt. Get that debt cleared off so that when you start paying your student loans, that's the only thing that you're paying. So you have this window, and granted, yes, the longer you wait to pay, the more interest is accruing and the more expensive that loan is going to be. But you still have a window of time to build that muscle, to start that new habit. But prayerfully, maybe some changes might happen. Right now, with this current administration, things change on the regular, right? So maybe something might change between now and 2028 for the better. Who knows? But in the event that it doesn't, at least you have a method and a way. Start putting that money away now. Start building that muscle of repaying back that student loans because that's something that you hadn't been doing for a while.
Yeah. Mm. Many have been under the SAVE program,
Mm-hmm.
and that forbearance was wonderful and was helpful.
Yes. I know
But
someone who got their master's degree. They graduated in 2020. It was during COVID. And so, and this client hasn't started paying back her student loans yet because of COVID. Then like every time it was time for her to start paying it back, something else would happen that would stop it, and no interest was occurring. So it was just like, but now, and since then, since 2020 to now, her income has increased. So now it's going to be like, wow, I got to pay back, and she's actually going to end up paying back higher because she's at a higher income level. So that's something that she's really going to have to start looking at so that she can make sure that that is included in her budget and she can reach her other goals. So
that's why it's so important, the recommendations that you said. Start putting money aside. So when the time comes that you need to pay it back, you'll have it.
yeah,
Now, I know this whole conversation can be very weighted. So I want to take a moment to speak directly to your faith.
yes,
If you're feeling overwhelmed by these changes and the uncertainty of what's ahead, remember this.
yes.
God still has a plan for your life, including your finances. So as we navigate these challenges, we can trust that his guidance will lead us to clarity. We can trust that the wisdom he gives us will allow us to make the right decisions.
Absolutely.
So seeking after him, continuing to trust him, and as we always say, trust God, trust the process, and trust yourself. You'll get it done.
Absolutely.
You will get it done.
Yeah. Find peace in God's provision and trusting
Yes.
that he's going to equip you, like Willis said, with the wisdom and the resources to make the best choices for your future. Don't get caught up in the numbers and the deadlines. We again, those are benchmarks, those are guardrails. That's part of God's provision, giving you that window, right? That window of opportunity to prepare for it. So take advantage of that. And like Willis said, lean into God's provision and trust that he's got you.
Yeah, I want to encourage you, no matter where you are in your journey, to seek clarity and take action. There is a way forward, and we are here to walk alongside of you and walk with you.
Yeah. So to wrap up today's episode, if you are currently struggling with student loan debt or you're worried about these changes affecting your future, the biggest thing that we can put out to you today, don't wait to act. You can start making some of these changes today. Take action now so that you can position yourself for financial success.
And if you need support, whether it's navigating student loans or aligning your finances with your faith, we invite you to take the next step on your financial journey. Start by booking a free clarity call with us to explore how we can help you gain clarity and confidence in your financial decision making.
100%. If you feel that tug today, don't ignore it. That's the spirit calling you to alignment. Take your first step. If you head to our show notes, you'll see the resources for this episode in the show notes. You also have the opportunity to join our email list. We do have some things coming up, some workshops coming up that we would love for you to participate in. So if you join our email list by clicking on www.mytfcoach.com, fulfillment starts here, you will take your first step to financial fulfillment. You'll get on our email list, but you'll also get a free audio lesson that'll help you name what financial fulfillment looks like for you. But if you don't want to start there, you can start with a clarity call and we can just talk about how we can jump in and get you ready to pay these student loans back if that is your desire. So we love to be your guide through this journey, step by step, so we can keep walking in wisdom with you, help you live on purpose, and build wealth that reflects who you are and whose you are.
As always, our end goal is for you to activate the power of your steward identity and discover your unique path to financial fulfillment, trusting God, trusting yourself, and trusting the process. So bye for now and continue to tap into your wealth and wisdom together. Bye-bye.